verdict handed down by an all-white jury against our brother Lex Wotton. It is totally unacceptable that such a verdict could be announced in a case where even the judge cast doubt on the veracity of most of the witnesses.
We need the broad mass of the population to understand that we all, each and every one of us, has a stake in winning Lex Wotton's freedom. The Palm Island community was absolutely right to protest the disgusting attempt to dismiss the killing of Murrumbidgee as an accident. This rotten system wants to lock up Lex, and it wants to go after Noel Washington for refusing to appear before the anti-union Australian Building and Construction Commission. And it's targeting those who protested the corporate fat cats at G20. This system wants to shut us all up. It wants to silence us all. But we're not going to let them. If we were under any mistaken belief that Australia is not a nation built on racism, that Australia has not an institutionalised system that discriminates against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, then this has been a big wake-up call for a lot of people, I think. As we know, at the moment, more than 20% of the prison population that we see in this country is Aboriginal people, and we only make up 2.4% of the population of this country, but our brothers and sisters are making up more than 20% of those serving in our prisons. Disgraceful. It is absolutely disgraceful. Since the Black Deaths in Custody report that was issued in the 1990, Murrumbidgee's death was actually the 147th. Can you believe that? 147 people had died, Aboriginal people had died since 1990, on top of the 99. Yes, it's murder, as they say. It's absolute murder.
I'm very pleased that the Palm Island people, including Lex Wotton, did rise up in protest against the murder of Murrumbidgee. Because if they had not risen up to protest against the murder of Murrumbidgee, people down here might never have known about what happened. One of the things the police in those remote areas, and Palm Island is a long way, it's a long way away from Brisbane, they rely on the fact that people outside those communities don't care. They rely on the fact that people don't know what is happening on Aboriginal communities, in the same way that the government now is relying on the fact that people down here in Melbourne and in Sydney don't know what is happening in Aboriginal communities in the Northern Territory.
We're talking about crimes against humanity here. It's an ongoing saga, and like someone said before, you need to know Lex the person, but you also need to know what Palm Island is. Palm Island is a concentration camp. It was established in the 18th century. It was designed for Aboriginal people to die out of sight, out of mind. There's hundreds of these places across this country. You just can't imagine what the type of crimes have gone down in these places. The crime of genocide was brutal in the beginning. Today, it's just in a more subtle form. You've seen the Northern Territory intervention. It's control of the welfare of Aboriginal people. They created the conditions of life with the intent to destroy. It's time to stand up, Australia. It's time to end this war and get rid of these people. These thugs in blue uniform, mercenaries.
Yeah, a couple of little things. How are we going to ever find peace here in this whole country? We have to fight for it. If the people is holding Lex, if they were smart, they'd let Lex walk. Then maybe that'll be like a breakthrough so that we can begin making some sort of peace. But if these people don't let Lex walk, well then it's like the fight for freedom still goes on, still continues. And there will be a rumble in the jungle. And even if we have to bring this country to a standstill for peace, well then so be it. That's the price we have to pay for peace.
And it's not that I haven't lived long enough to see injustice. You know, we've got the whole history of black deaths in custody. We've seen 1 million people murdered in Iraq. We've seen Abu Ghraib, Fallujah, Haditha, all of these things. We've got the Northern Territory intervention now, where Aboriginal people in the Northern Territory are having their welfare withheld, their communities declared unviable. This is continuing. But there is something about this, like I said, that sticks in your throat. Maybe it's the words of my grandmother who was in the cell, who talked of Murungi being punched again and again, a witness who wasn't called in the manslaughter trial. Now why would a prosecutor not call an eyewitness? Maybe it's the fact that after that injustice they've gone after Lex Wotton. Now Lex Wotton came and spoke at the State Council of the Australian Manufacturing Workers Union. I'm on the State Council there. He's softly spoken but very impressive man. We passed a resolution at the AMWU to drop the charges against Lex Wotton, made a contribution to the campaign. But that's something that we need everywhere, is more and more union resolutions. But also for unions to get this out in their journals. I think there are not enough people who know about this case. And it's a lot like the case of North Washington, where once people know, they're outraged. There are not enough people who know, there are not enough people who think they can make a difference. We have to change that. That's all I've got to say today. Thanks.
Basically, working people in this country must decide which side are they on. Are they on the side of the Rudd-Howard agenda, which means poverty, austerity, unemployment, cutbacks in welfare, attacks on gays and women, no right to abortion, etc., 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 or do they stand up and fight it? Now, to stand up and fight it, you have to stand up against black deaths in custody and stand up in defence of Lex Wotton, a courageous person who stood up against a murder in custody. We should be proud of Lex as a great fighter for his people, and a great fighter for proletariat in this country, and that's how we must see him. Now, basically, the Palm Islanders showed us the way. They did what we should be doing when black people die in custody and white people die in custody. It's this racist capitalist state. Basically, which side are you on? Are you for the system, for the oppression, for the poverty, or are you on the side of the proletariat, the oppressed of this country? We, the communist left, have a clear side. We're for revolution, we're for the side of the oppressed, and we want to free Lex Wotton. Thank you very much.